Last night, I put out a short about me believing, my personal belief now, that the United States of America is the greatest country in the world. I clipped my video up, and I did this on purpose just to see what would happen. I said something along the lines of, I never really been outside the country. I mostly just been to almost every state, something along those lines. And I must have did something right because ain't nothing like having Black Americans talk down to you in the comments. And I did that on purpose. I just didn't know that I would get the victim Olympic hate as quickly as I did. I'ma just kind of expound on that point. I left the country for the first time when I was 18 years old. I had the attitude that um, America was like the worst place. I got my passport and I got on a Carnival cruise. Now, it's funny because there are a lot of people who go to resorts and cruises and stuff like that. They buy a package to go on vacation to another country and they go, "Oh, I've been here and I've been there." No, you haven't. Even people in the military, they used to really get under my skin because they'd be like, "Oh, I've gone to this country on orders, and this country is far better than the United States. I can't wait to finish my time in service so that I can use my retirement check to supplement my lifestyle in a foreign country." To each his own. But here's the deal with two of those situations. The first one, tourist attractions are not that country. It's not. If I made the mistake when I went to Belize, I made the mistake of going a little too close to where I wasn't supposed to go. It was one of these restricted areas or whatever. They were like, "You can hang out and everything here. This is like the tourist area, but do not cross this line." And it just so happened that when I got off the plane, a lot of the people in Belize, they mistook me for a woman who was missing. And when I got there, it was like so many people. They were just so glad to see me. They put like this pretty hat on me. They gave me jewelry. They were very kind to me. And these were people who looked like me. These were Black people. Now, mind you, 18 years old, I'm from the South. And most times when I interact with dark skinned people, colorism is a real problem in the Black community. A lot of times, Black people are nicer to the lighter ones and meaner to the darker ones, especially somebody like me, where I don't straighten my hair, or I don't wear a ridiculous amount of makeup, or I don't have a BBL, or whatever it is that Black people are into these days. It was a shock for me to be around dark skinned people and light skinned people, Black people who like just loved me on sight, was just nice to me on sight. And for a minute, I was like, "Oh my God, this is the promised land. I want to cut up my passport and just stay here forever." Until I realized these people didn't have like running water and electricity. And I was like, "Oh, a lot of them didn't have cell phones and stuff." And it's not to say that people in Belize are like living in squalor. I'm not saying that. It was just my first time seeing what the majority of the world is dealing with. And when you really think about these tourist attractions, America made that. Like, let's just be real. Like, superpowers go in and they destabilize a country, or like, let's say if that country is already not stable, they just kick it over, tear everything down, and Gaza it up. They just destroy it and turn it into something that other people want to go and have fun. It's no longer for those people who live there. And that's what a tourist attraction is. It'd be people like, "Oh, I'm well traveled." You've gone to all these vacations. You got to see the end result of these people's lands being stripped from them and utterly destroyed and then turned into like a beach resort. That is not, in my opinion, that's not what I saw in Belize, what I saw in Cozumel. Like, even we had to kind of end our trip a little early because there was a falling out in Michoacan. I'm like, it went down in Michoacan, so we gotta not go nowhere near where we were originally planning to go. There are a lot of Americans who leave this country and they go to tourist attractions and they say, "Oh, I got my passport. I went over here." I think the closest thing to an American who leave the country and actually experience the culture like Passport Bros, or something to that effect, where they actually live in the tents, where they actually take the buckets of water, where they actually go run and catch the chickens, or they pay somebody to do it for them. I'm an American. I'm not doing that. I'm not. My mama used to take me down to the farms in South Carolina where she grew up. And sometimes we'll go down there with family and shuck corn. And there'll be a worm as big as my finger when you go to shuck that corn. And I knew at that moment I wasn't made for that. I wasn't made for that. And in America, you got a choice. You don't have to do that. I could go to the farmer's market and buy my food, or I could go to the grocery store or the supermarket, or I could go on Amazon, or I could go Amazon Fresh and order my stuff up. I have options. In these other countries, a lot of them, they don't have choices. They don't. Okay, before I get too far, let me go on my second thing. Military folk. A lot of times they get stationed in places and they have the covering of the United States government. See, if it was just you, let's say you spent your own dime to go live somewhere on your own, you funded everything, and you go to live to these other countries and you deal with the politics of these countries, you deal with the school systems, the family, the family structures there, the language, the religion. Is very different when you don't have the United States backing you. It's not the same. It's just not. Like, that's another thing about being an American. We have pleasant experiences in other places. You know why? Because we got people like Donald Trump that will handle somebody. An American life being lost overseas, like, no. Like, no. Like, the value of who we are as a people from the perspective of other countries is unmatched in many different ways. And we're so privileged in this country, we don't even know. We don't even know. We take for granted the fact that we can work for 40 hours and barely afford, I don't know, an apartment to live on your own. You can get another job if you want to. If you want, you can do whatever you want if you want to. You can be entitled if you want to. Other countries, that whole expression of if you don't work, you don't eat, that's a real thing. Whatever you put in is what you get out. Here in the United States, especially, let me just say this, it never ceased to amaze me how quick Black people are to attack other Black people in the United States of America. A part of me almost wants to stop responding because I can hear from the structure of their sentences that they're just mad because their food stamps were cut off. And even that's an American trait. Feeling entitled to something you never worked for and then being mad at somebody who was most likely dealt a very similar hand to you. It's doing better. That's American. That's very American. That's a whole nother topic. Maybe I'll do another video on that.